Okay guys, today we're working on the old 69 Ford again. Had some problems with the heater controls not working properly, and I kind of had an idea of what had happened. Here it is. Got this part of it out anyway. If you've never worked on these before, you have a cable here, goes up and connects. You have a cable here, goes up and connects. And basically what this does is it moves one cable, and then when that cable stops, the other cable starts to move. And what happens to these a lot of times is the cables, and we say cable, they're actually a solid rod piece of wire, kind of like on an old throttle on a lawnmower. Anyway, what happens is they get kinked or they get all rusted up, and then they don't want to move. You know, they'll bind up and they don't want to move. So what do people do? Oh, they grab that dude, and maybe two hands even, and they yank that dude around. Well, if you can see, that's all one solid piece, and it's heavy, but basically it's sheet metal, and the only thing that gives it any strength is that little depression right there, that indentation. And so you can adjust the timing, if you want to call it that. You can adjust here and there, and then also on the opposite end, on the heater itself, you can adjust it. And the way this works, when you're off, there's a door that actually shuts the air off from the blower. And as you go over to heat, you can see that right there drops down. That actually opens that door, and it's the only thing that moves when you get to heat. Okay, once that door is already open, it stays in that position, and then this side over here on the left starts to pull up. And what that does is it takes another door and it basically just ramps it down at an angle, shutting off the heater ports and blowing all the air up to the defroster. So you can see how if they get out of time, then it doesn't want to move, and like I said, people they pull as hard as they can. This one here is steel. I remember my dad had one. All these controls, there were 3 of them, and all of them were pot metal, and they snapped off right across here. And he took it all apart, took some real heavy metal banding, and actually went in, drilled and tapped some holes right here, brought the banding out, and he bent it in the vise and made little rounded thumb, kind of not a knob, but a little tab where you could put your thumb on there and roll it back and forth, move it back and forth. And that's how he repaired that one. This one's actually steel with knobs with set screws in them. Everything else works okay, and I've got the heater pretty well timed and everything where it's going to work, but this here just keeps bending. Part of the problem is, if you will look right here, there's a little arc right there with a little point right there sticking up. And what that is, that's not supposed to be there. That's actually wear. And when this drops down in like that, and you have force on this rod holding against this, it actually kind of binds up and locks that in there, and you have to get quite a bit of force before it pops out. Okay, you don't see one on this side because I've already filed it off. When you take these apart, you need to take a file or a Dremel or whatever and knock those down. You want that to be a nice, even arc across there. And you can't take these apart without going into some little bit of work, because these are riveted together. You don't really need to, but grind that out right there. Okay, now I don't know if you've noticed, this is chrome plated. You can see the copper, and I've sanded it down. That's because what I'm going to do is I'm going to reinforce it. This is a piece, it's not quite as thick as the old one, but almost. And what this is a piece, if you watched my earlier video about repairing the rusted floor, this is a piece of the metal come out of the floor. And so I've bent it in the brake. It will sit right down there. And so I've sanded away the chrome, the copper, to get to the metal, get to the steel. Um, those of you that know about it, you know this is galvanized, and you know you might say, oh well, don't weld on galvanized. Yeah, you can weld galvanized. The problem with galvanizing is what keeps it from rusting is a zinc coating. When you get it hot, either with a torch, with a welder, or even by burning it, that vaporizes that zinc, and it's toxic. If you breathe enough of it, you will get a massive pounding headache, and it's called zinc fume fever. Had it a couple of times. But on something this small, what you can do is you can grind off the zinc in the area where you want to weld. You'll lose your rust protection, but you can always paint it back over with cold galvanizing spray paint or just spray paint. But on something like this, I'm not even going to bother. It's just a small, I'm going to weld right across here. It's just maybe right in the corners. It's just a small amount. I tend to, anytime I'm welding anyway, I tend to hold my breath. I just don't like the fumes, don't like breathing the fumes. Plus I know what it does to your lungs, even just the regular. A lot of welding wire has manganese, and if you breathe much manganese, it causes central nervous system damage. It causes tremors, causes muscle spasms, things like that. So, not to mention you get metal deposits, steel deposits in your lungs and everything. So as a rule, if it's something small especially, I just kind of hold my breath. So I'm not real worried about it. But I am going to go through, weld this up, and hopefully it'll look decent. And I'll show you guys here in a minute. Okay guys, well, it's stuck on there now. It's not the best looking weld. Mine never are. I don't do enough of it on a daily basis to really stay in practice. Plus my hands just don't work the way they used to after almost 30 years of straight doing hands-on work. Anyway, it is stuck on there. I mean, it's stuck pretty good. That should strengthen it up. You know, guys, just pointed out